Have you ever wondered if some of life's greatest mysteries were locked away, hidden from us for thousands of years, only to be found by accident? Imagine ancient scrolls, buried in dark caves, containing secrets that could challenge everything we thought we knew. These scrolls lay untouched for 2 millennia, carrying messages from a world we can barely imagine. A world where a group of people believed they were the chosen few, keepers of secrets that would change the course of humanity if they were ever found. Today, we're embarking on a journey to uncover the mysteries of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Discovered in 1947 by a young shepherd boy, these ancient texts have fascinated, perplexed, and inspired scholars, believers, and truth-seekers alike. They hold ancient spiritual teachings, hidden truths, and a wealth of historical insights that could potentially rewrite history. Some even say they contain prophecies that might be unfolding right now. So what secrets are hidden within these fragile scrolls? What wisdom did they preserve, and why were they concealed in the first place? Join me as we journey back to an ancient land and walk the path of mystery and revelation that begins in the desolate, haunting beauty of the Dead Sea. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, lifeless desert, the lowest place on Earth. There's no sound but the dry wind, and nothing moves in this salt-crusted wasteland. Yet somewhere beneath the surface, locked away in hidden caves, lies one of the greatest spiritual and historical discoveries of all time, the Dead Sea Scrolls. This story begins in 1947, in the quiet solitude of the Judean Desert. A Bedouin shepherd boy was tending his flock when one of his goats wandered off. Searching, he threw a rock into a small opening, expecting to hear the usual sound of stone on stone. But instead, he heard the unmistakable shattering of pottery. In that moment, an ordinary boy stumbled upon a treasure that had been hidden for over 2,000 years. Inside the cave, he found tall clay jars, and within those jars, ancient scrolls wrapped in linen. The scrolls were delicate, their once bright ink faded and cracked, but the words they carried would soon ignite a storm of curiosity and debate around the world. These scrolls, now known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, contain texts written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Some are the oldest known copies of the Hebrew Bible, dating back as far as the 3rd century BCE. Others reveal the practices and beliefs of an isolated Jewish sect, likely the Essenes, who saw themselves as the righteous few, chosen by God to preserve sacred wisdom. But the most intriguing question is, why were these scrolls hidden here, in the heart of the desert, miles away from any major city or temple? What were they trying to protect? Or perhaps, who were they trying to hide it from? The caves of Qumran, where these scrolls were hidden, speak to the secrecy of their authors. A group of devout men who believed the world around them was corrupt, beyond redemption. They isolated themselves from society, turning their backs on Jerusalem and even the Jewish temple, which they believed had fallen to corruption. They lived in a world divided, one they described as a cosmic battle between light and darkness, good and evil. And they chose to hide their wisdom and knowledge, waiting for the right time or the right people to rediscover it. But what is it about these scrolls that has kept scholars and theologians so captivated? Is it simply their age, or is it something deeper? Something that touches on our own search for meaning, our own questions about the divine and our place in the universe. These scrolls hold stories of rituals, prophecies, and glimpses into an apocalyptic vision that could have inspired some of the early Christian beliefs. But to understand why these secrets were hidden and what they truly mean, we have to look closer, deeper, and perhaps let our imagination wander into the mysteries of ancient Judea. Now, let's dive into the heart of this mystery, the Essenes. This enigmatic sect was unlike any other. They shunned the world's pleasures, renounced personal wealth, and lived a life of strict purity, believing that they were the chosen sons of light, destined to do battle with the sons of darkness. It sounds like something from a novel, but to the Essenes, this was their reality, a sacred calling. Who were these people, really? The Essenes were dedicated to a kind of spiritual warfare, a struggle not of swords and shields, but of the soul. They believed that purity was power. They bathed in cold water twice a day, lived communally, and practiced rigorous rituals to purify themselves. This purification wasn't just about physical cleanliness. It was a pathway to access divine knowledge, to connect with the Spirit and stay close to God. Their library, the Dead Sea Scrolls, captures this unique mindset. The texts speak of a coming cataclysmic event, an apocalyptic showdown they believed would usher in a new era of peace and righteousness. Some writings, like the War Scroll, describe this conflict in vivid detail, a battle of light and darkness, with the Essenes as warriors of the divine. Other scrolls include what we now call the Manual of Discipline, essentially a rulebook outlining the conduct expected of the community, covering everything from prayer schedules to the importance of honesty, humility, and self-control. The Essenes even kept detailed records of astrological observations, believing that the movements of the stars were connected to divine signs. Interestingly, some scholars suggest that John the Baptist himself may have been influenced by these teachings. His ritual baptisms, calls for repentance and belief in an imminent judgment, echo the Essenes' practices. Was John the Baptist an Essene, or at least inspired by them? And if so, did his teachings pass on to Jesus? These questions tantalize historians and theologians alike, and there's a growing belief that some of the spiritual themes in early Christianity may have been directly influenced by the Essenes and their hidden wisdom. But there's more. A scroll known as the Copper Scroll lists locations of vast treasures buried in the desert, waiting to be found. Some believe these treasures could be remnants of the Jerusalem temple, saved from Roman plunder. Yet no one has found the treasure described, and the question remains, was it real or symbolic? Was the treasure material wealth, or was it a coded message guiding seekers to a spiritual treasure instead? What if the real treasure of the Essenes wasn't gold or silver but the wisdom preserved in these scrolls? They held a vision of life that was radically different, one rooted in cosmic purpose and the pursuit of purity and knowledge. They saw themselves as stewards of sacred wisdom, carrying insights that, if lost, would be forgotten by humanity. And now, after centuries of obscurity, their words have re-emerged, almost as if calling us to remember a different way of being, a life of meaning and purpose, defined by a connection to something far beyond the material. As we delve deeper, let's explore the unique mystical practices and sacred texts of the Essenes, which make their community so distinct from any other in history. The Essenes held an almost esoteric understanding of spirituality, an approach that seemed to blend religious discipline with an intense, almost ritualistic lifestyle. One of the most captivating discoveries within the Dead Sea Scrolls is the Essenes' intricate calendar system. Unlike the Jewish lunar calendar of Jerusalem, the Essenes followed a solar calendar, which they believed brought them closer to divine timing. Their year was meticulously structured, divided into fixed, symbolic periods that guided their agricultural work, prayer, and rituals. Some theorists believe that their calendar was designed to anticipate divine events, a blueprint for moments of cosmic significance. It was almost as if the Essenes believed the universe itself was a grand celestial clock, ticking down to an ultimate event of transformation. Then there's the Book of Enoch, a mysterious apocryphal text discovered within the Dead Sea Scrolls. This book, part of the Essenes' sacred texts, paints a vivid picture of angels, visions, and otherworldly realms. It's believed that the Essenes considered Enoch, the seventh generation from Adam, to be an ascended figure who walked directly with God. Enoch's prophecies reveal an apocalyptic vision, a world set to undergo divine judgment. They spoke of watchers, or fallen angels, who descended to earth and intermingled with humanity, bringing forbidden knowledge that corrupted society. The Book of Enoch describes how this hidden knowledge led humanity down a path of ruin, prompting God to cleanse the earth with a great flood. The Essenes saw themselves as descendants of Enoch's visions, guardians of ancient wisdom that was too dangerous to be shared with the world at large. Can you imagine living with that kind of responsibility? To be the keepers of knowledge that was hidden from others, but which could hold the key to salvation? It was a powerful, perhaps even dangerous calling, one that the Essenes embraced wholeheartedly. In their isolated community, they lived according to strict purity laws, believing that only by maintaining their spiritual integrity could they fulfill their role in this cosmic battle between light and darkness. Their texts even reference practices such as angelology, the study and invocation of angelic beings as protectors and guides. The Essenes wrote about specific angels assigned to protect various elements of creation. They believed these celestial beings were not distant or impersonal, but actively engaged in helping humanity. They called upon these angels in their prayers and rituals, considering them allies in their journey toward purity and enlightenment. To the Essenes, these rituals were not mere traditions. They were seen as divine communications, a way to align oneself with the heavens and prepare for the inevitable end of days. Could these ancient practices be hinting at knowledge long lost to time? Were the Essenes, in their pursuit of purity, tapping into a spiritual realm that few today have even dared to imagine? This reverence for angels, visions, and otherworldly powers offers us a glimpse into a spirituality that feels profoundly mystical, even otherworldly. And it begs the question, what other secrets did the Essenes safeguard, hidden deep within the desert, locked away in fragile scrolls? In recent years, archaeological research and modern documentaries have breathed new life into the mystery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, uncovering fresh insights that continue to stir debate. New excavations have revealed previously undiscovered caves in the Judean Desert, where it's believed more hidden scrolls or artifacts could be waiting to be found. The search continues, fueled by the tantalizing possibility that even more secrets might be locked away in this ancient, silent landscape. In fact, just in the last few years, archaeologists discovered 2 small fragments from a previously unknown scroll. The mystery, it seems, is far from over. One modern theory proposes that the Essenes, and possibly other sects, were deliberately keeping parts of Jewish wisdom out of the mainstream religious circles. Could it be that they wanted to preserve a pure, or perhaps even forbidden version of Jewish teachings? These hidden teachings include meditative and spiritual practices that some scholars now believe could be connected to early forms of mysticism or proto-Kabbalah, a type of mystical interpretation of the scriptures. This theory has captivated many who believe that the Essenes' isolation in the desert was not merely for ascetic discipline, but a purposeful retreat to protect mystical knowledge from being lost or distorted. The Essenes may have practiced a form of meditation that was designed to achieve a direct experience of the divine, what some modern scholars call a mystical ascent. This would have involved intense spiritual exercises that allowed the soul to transcend earthly concerns, reaching states of consciousness far beyond our normal perception. They might have sought to commune with the divine directly, bypassing the material world altogether. Was this another reason for their seclusion? Did they withdraw from society not just to maintain purity, but to pursue spiritual enlightenment that others might not understand or even tolerate? The scrolls themselves have had an incredible journey, being passed between collectors, smuggled during wars, and at times even divided between political factions. In one curious episode, parts of the Dead Sea Scrolls appeared in the classified section of a newspaper in the 1950s, advertised as manuscripts from the wilderness of Judah. Imagine coming across that ad, not knowing that you were looking at one of the most significant archaeological finds of all time. This fragmented history only adds to their intrigue, like pieces of a puzzle that we're still trying to piece together today. There's even a modern quest, reminiscent of a real-life treasure hunt, driven by the Copper Scroll's cryptic descriptions of hidden treasures. Filmmakers and researchers have attempted to decode its meaning, looking for buried treasures that may include not only material riches but perhaps invaluable religious artifacts, possibly even sacred relics from the First Temple. No treasure has been found yet, but this hunt has captivated the minds of archaeologists and treasure seekers worldwide, spurring theories about what else might still lie beneath the sand. Could the Copper Scroll be pointing to an even greater treasure? A knowledge, perhaps, that could change our understanding of spirituality in ancient history. And here's where you come in. What do you think? Are these theories just the product of our imagination, or could they be rooted in something real? Could there be more scrolls out there, lost to time, waiting to be uncovered? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts on these hidden mysteries. The story of the Dead Sea Scrolls continues to evolve, and maybe, just maybe, there's more to uncover than we ever imagined. Now let's dive even deeper into the scrolls themselves. Among the 900 fragments, there are texts that reshape our understanding of spiritual and religious history. For one, the scrolls reveal that ancient Judaism was far more diverse than many have realized. The texts demonstrate that there wasn't one singular Jewish belief, but rather a multitude of sects, each with its own interpretations, rituals, and messianic hopes. The Essenes' vision wasn't the only one, but it was unique in its intensity and dedication to the battle between light and darkness. Then there's the Scroll of Thanksgiving Hymns, an exquisite collection of poetry and prayer. These hymns are deeply personal, filled with expressions of awe, humility, and devotion. In reading them, one can feel the Essenes' reverence for God, their deep-seated belief that life itself is a sacred journey, and that through discipline and purity, one could achieve a state of grace. The hymns speak to the human experience of longing for connection with something greater, a theme that resonates across centuries. But perhaps the most controversial texts are those that seem to hint at teachings similar to those of Jesus. The Essenes spoke of a teacher of righteousness, a spiritual leader who would suffer and be rejected. Some scholars have drawn parallels between this teacher and Jesus himself, suggesting that the teachings of the Essenes may have directly influenced early Christianity. And what about the famous Copper Scroll? This one-of-a-kind document is literally written on copper, and it lists secret locations for buried treasures. Scholars debate whether these treasures were real or allegorical, representing spiritual truths rather than material wealth. Many have searched for the riches it describes, yet no one has ever found them. This lingering mystery only adds to the allure of the scrolls, suggesting that perhaps there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered in the Judean Desert. As we explore these insights, we begin to see the Essenes not just as a forgotten sect, but as a people with a profound understanding of the spiritual journey. A journey that requires sacrifice, humility, and an unwavering commitment to the pursuit of truth. The Essenes believed that divine knowledge wasn't simply a matter of intellectual pursuit, it required the transformation of the self. They left us a message in these scrolls, one that echoes even now, calling us to look beyond the distractions of daily life and seek a deeper, more authentic connection to the divine. So now that we've journeyed together into the heart of this ancient mystery, what do you think? Are the Dead Sea Scrolls simply an archaeological marvel, or do they carry wisdom that could transform us even today? What if these texts hold the keys to unlocking our own potential, inviting us to seek purity, knowledge, and a higher purpose, just as the Essenes did. These questions remain as open as the desert sky, waiting for us to explore them. I invite you to share your thoughts. Do you believe that the scrolls were meant to be discovered at this precise moment in history? Could they be guiding us, calling us back to ancient wisdom that our modern world has forgotten? Let's keep the conversation going. Join me in the comments, and let's discuss what these ancient texts mean to us today. Until next time, may the light guide your path, as it guided those who did these scrolls all those centuries ago.